Well, okay. Looks like we do have a review. So this is in fact going to be a part of the review, so a third of it, going over the migration and settlement, and also culture. Okay, so pretty much topics we've already discussed in the previous week's videos, but we're just again going to review these again for you all. Especially hitting the major points that I want you all to know for tomorrow's CUA. Okay. All right. So getting started. First off, what is migration exactly? Okay, you can even pause the video here for a brief second, just kind of think about it and then answer. So migration, again, is moving from one place to another. This usually refers to people and even animals. Okay, animals migrate and people migrate as well. One of the main causes for one of the main causes for population shifts is in fact going to be migration. Okay, two important vocab words here that you need to know that refer to migration. One is going to be immigrate. Immigrate just means that you're leaving one home to live in another place. Okay, so if you are living within a city somewhere and you really need to, let's say, go to another area of the city, so literally another house, you're moving houses within the city, then you could be said to be emigrating. Okay, so it's kind of like the more general version of migration, whereas immigrate is a little bit more specific and it has to do with entering and living in a completely different country. All right. So an immigrant would be someone that just moves from one house to another or one home or shelter to another, okay, just in general. Whereas an immigrant with an I, okay, they actually are coming into a whole nother country from, their home country or wherever they're coming from, all right? Remember, just immigration, an immigrant is someone that comes into the country or a new country. All right, reasons for migration. So two big things, what we call push and pull factors, all right? Now, a push factor is going to be anything that displaces, okay, so any thing that we have underlined here with stars pretty much means that it's probably, I'm not saying exactly, but probably going to be on the CUA for tomorrow. Okay, so push factor, again, drives or displaces people from an area. So this could be because of war, persecution, a weak economy, or even natural disasters, okay, like flooding. Now, a refugee, is actually going to be someone who ends up fleeing a country because of these things. Okay, so again, war, persecution, natural disasters, pretty much any disaster. Again, like it can also be an economic disaster. Any one person or any group of people that is fleeing a country, they're going away from a country. All right, they're immigrating to a different country. Because of these factors, because of these push factors, we call them refugees. All right. Now, a pull factor, so we just went over push factors. Now, a pull factor is any sort of a factor that actually attracts people to a certain area. All right, so this could be friends or family. Okay, maybe you have a lot of family members that live over, like maybe in Europe, and you want to go over there. Well, that would be a pull factor. Okay, there are people over there that you know and love, and you want to go over there. Okay. Another pull factor would be schools and universities. All right, so maybe there's a whole bunch of there are a whole bunch of awesome universities in other countries. Maybe you really want to go to one like in Japan or Italy or somewhere else. That would be a pull factor. And then also job opportunities. This is probably one of the biggest ones, is that a lot of people end up coming to the United States or a lot of other more first world countries, so more developed countries, because of the job opportunities that they tend to offer in those countries. Okay. So again, no push factors, so driving people, displacing people away from an area, and then pull factors, okay, pull immigrants towards countries. They pull, people want to go there, so they're pulling them there, those factors, pull factors. Also, whenever you see the word displace here, okay, you want to think it has to deal with migration and settlement. Okay, displacement of people has to deal with migration and settlement, people migrating away from an area, that they don't like, towards an area that they want to live in, okay, a better area to them. Okay, so what is a culture region exactly? All right, so moving away from the migration topic, what is a culture region? Okay, maybe give a second to answer this if you remember. Now, remember, a culture region, okay, again, a vocab word, is a geographic area in which people have, very particular, very certain traits or features in common. Now, I know in our last video, I think it was actually the video that I did for cultural traits or cultural elements. It was very general with cultural region, but really what you really need to know, especially for the CUA, okay, is that A cultural region mainly refers to, pretty much 99% of the time, it refers to people of either a similar religion or of a similar race or ethnicity. Okay, so whenever you see the word cultural region, you want to think, oh, it's just an area in which people have they have similar traits, and those traits pretty much always tend to be a similar religion or a similar race or ethnicity. Okay, and again, that's cultural region. All right, so now cultural trait, shelter. All right, so we talked about a whole bunch of different cultural traits. I think there was about 9 of them in the last video about culture. So we had ethnic groups, language, religion, customs, history, arts and sports, government, economy, cultural regions, all that good stuff. Okay, we only went over 9, but there's people argue that there's actually more and more. You could almost even make the argument that there's almost like an infinite amount of elements to a culture or traits to a culture. But specifically for the CUA, there's actually a trait we'd like you to know called shelter. Okay, so if you didn't already know, a shelter is basically just going to be any sort of physical structure where people live to be protected from bad weather or even danger. Okay, now shelters, super important to know this. That's kind of why it's underlined and has stars there. Remember, shelters or people's homes are influenced by, 1, where they live, so their location, 2, the availability of natural resources, so like wood, water, all that good stuff. And then finally, 3, their family structure. Okay, how many people are actually in their family? Is it 2, 3? Is it 8, 10? All right, because obviously if you have more family members, you're going to have probably a bigger house. And if you have less family members, okay, maybe like 1 or 2 people, you don't really need that much space. So you probably want to, spend less money and, just have a smaller space to live in. Okay. And again, shelters. So both of these images here are going to be examples of shelters. A shelter can literally just be a whole bunch of sticks that you stack in a forest and you just want to stay the night there. Okay, probably not the greatest protection. All right, but hey, it's cheap, affordable, it's easy to build. Relatively, it's a shelter. All right. Probably the places that a lot of people tend to refer to as a house or a home or a shelter would probably be more so of this right here. Is probably the area, or what you would call, a shelter that you probably go to every day, like a brick house with, tiled roof overhead. All right, so much significantly longer to build than this, significantly more expensive as well, but it does tend to offer a lot more luxurious things, such as, air conditioning, ventilation, all that kind of good stuff. Okay, so again, both shelters here. Now, religion. Okay, so this is a cultural trait that we actually did discuss in a previous video. Now, getting a little bit more into the specifics with religion. Okay, so just kind of a recap. Remember, religion is just a system of faith and worship that actually has followers. So people that, actually take part in the religion. Now, remember, religion is a central part of many, many cultures. Okay, I would even argue that pretty much every single culture in the world can tie back their customs, their, pretty much their day-to-day things they do, even their food, can probably be traced back to some sort of religious practice, okay? Underline here with stars. Religious practice has a massive influence on cultural customs. For example, Christmas break, all right? We give you all a break. Pretty much every school district in America, in the United States, has a break from late December or mid to late December to early January. That is, for the most part, not just random. It's because, we want to give, or whoever decided that, they want to give people time to spend that time with their families, for Christmas, all right? Ramadan, okay, so Ramadan is I don't know if you'd actually consider it a holiday, okay? It's only for the Islamic religion. So Islam is a religion that practices Ramadan. The followers of Islam would be Muslims. So Muslims, I think it's about 1 month out of the year, so 30 days, usually around spring or summer, where they fast. Okay, remember, fasting just means that you're not eating. Okay, so obviously, if you don't eat for a month, you would die. But it's more so that they fast for pretty much the majority of the day. So from sunrise to sunset, they don't eat. They have what they call so like a pre-dawn meal and I believe it's not a post-dawn meal, but a nightfall meal, and I believe their actual terms are suhoor for the pre-dawn meal, and then the sunset. That's what they call it. The sunset meal is, I believe, referred to as iftar, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, remember that's Ramadan. That's fasting for 30 days, and that is the Islamic religion. That's what they practice. Also, the Holi Spring Festival. Okay, so Holi is it's a celebration of spring, of newness, of new adventures, and new, basically like a freshness. Okay, so the passage from winter into spring. This is a Hindu holiday, and so it's primarily celebrated in India. Okay, Holi. And again, religion shapes the way societies or individuals see the world. Okay, massive, massive, massive sort of religion has this massive impact on just the way that a whole bunch of different cultures actually perceive the world. All right. Now, right here, we can actually see the different, so we have the, Christmas, Ramadan, so Christmas here, Ramadan here, and a Holi. Okay, so obviously I'm pretty sure most of y'all are pretty familiar with Christmas. There's a tree, tend to have presents, St. Nicholas, Santa Claus, all that good stuff. Over here is the celebration of Ramadan. So again, remember it's a 30 days, so around spring or summer, with fasting. And it's not just the fasting aspect. Muslims actually tend to focus way, way more on, a prayer. Okay, so obviously, they're Muslim, they're followers of the Islamic religion, so they're going to be doing prayers pretty much like all the time. But during Ramadan, they tend to focus way, way more on it. Okay, it's seen as a very, very holy aspect. It's actually considered, I believe, one of the 4 or 5 pillars of Islam. All right, is Ramadan. And then over here is Holi. Okay, so Holi here, you can see during this, remember it's a spring festival, they're celebrating newness, a new year, all right? So it's kind of almost like, sort of like their New Year celebration, the coming of spring in the Hindu religion. Now, this is all like a dye, okay? So like a DYE, so it's like a coloring. Don't worry, it's not like a poisonous coloring. It's more so, I believe it's more like a, related to like a food dye. Okay, so like this is probably the kind of stuff that they probably use to like maybe color like candies. So it's non-toxic. All right, so they pretty much, so there's people like from buildings, window top, pretty much everyone just like sprays each other or throws this powdered dye on each other, and they get very colorful. And it's supposed to be a celebration of spring. Okay, and it actually looks really fun. I'm actually kind of wanting to go to India just to kind of see this out. All right, or check it out. All right, and that is going to be it for this review. Remember, migration, settlement, and just kind of a little bit of a recap on some cultural elements. All right, hopefully this helps, and good luck on you all's CUA tomorrow. Take care.